I want to play a game. What are the 8 unbreakable rules for running a business? We see on social all these overnight success stories, hey, I had this idea last weekend and now I'm a 6-figure business.
Yeah, and I think it's all bull, to be frank. I've worked with a lot of people online that have done well, and they may have made it in a weekend. They typically blow it in a month, and then they can't figure out what they did that worked just in the first place.
Don't let it be game over. You're going to need to carry on listening as I'm joined by Sean Castrina as we're making conversations about business rules count. Are your potential customers falling into a mousetrap? That's not the right kind of game to play. Customer experience is everything. And when it comes to how you handle those initial inquiries through your marketing, don't let it be a pure digital journey. The human touch needs to come in, and that's what Sean and I are talking about in this conversation. We go back to an old saying from a past guest where we buy local, think global. What do you think? What's the number one rule that you're guilty of breaking right now? So I know that you have got several books under your belt and you're also a podcast host of 10 Minute Entrepreneur. I don't know how you can get anything covered in 10 minutes personally, but I'm sure you must for the amount of episodes you have.
Yeah, I have a system about it, yes.
And I know that your latest book is the 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success. Now, as a girl that's not very hard and fast on rules, I do believe in boundaries. I do think that we do need to have a framework in place. Out of those 8, which is the one that we must never break?
I'd say nearly all of them. Example, if you start with a bad idea that's not vetted, it doesn't matter if you do the other 7.
It's still a bad idea.
A bad idea is a bad, I always say, like, I love partnerships in business, but a partnership with a bad idea is still a bad idea. And a great idea with a bad partner, still a bad idea. That's why they're unbreakable, because I think if you at least 6 of them, you probably would be in trouble if you mess up with them.
So in terms of what your mission is now for business startups, clearly what you've learned over the last couple or so decades has led you to want to share the insights that you've had. What would you say brought about that mission to share what you know?
Yeah, I just realized that, failure is best heard through a secondhand story and a heck of a lot cheaper. So if you can just, example, if you're getting ready to go down a walking path and there's a fork in it and a person in front of you goes, hey, you don't want to go down that path because there's a tree down already. So you go this way. Well, that's probably very helpful to know. Didn't take that person a long time to share that little bit of information, but it probably maybe saved you a few hours or whatever the case may be. So to me, I'm cognitive of things that worked. I'm cognitive of things that didn't work. So being able to share and or pull that information out from other entrepreneurs, to me, just made good sense.
Yeah. Would you agree that we all have these great ideas? Okay, some might be bad.
Yeah.
Or with bad people, whatever. We've established that. But when you do settle on a great idea, one of the biggest challenges I think that entrepreneurs have is not necessarily that idea, it's the deliverable in that idea and the processes and the other people that they may need to get on board to help them deliver that, because running a business is not simply, here's my thing, here's my idea, buy it.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few, there's 3 parts of every business. And if you fail in any one of the 3, you're going to be out of business. And one of them you just mentioned, which is the fulfillment part. You have to deliver, produce whatever it is you're selling. And your ability to do that will dictate whether you stay in business. So that's why there's one of the 8 unbreakable rules is your business plan. What is it going to take to attract customers, sell the customers, and then provide what it is you have agreed to. And then what is the service end on the back end? Is there a warranty, customer service, et cetera? You got to cover all of it. Thing is just, that's great and that's important, but that just gets the ball rolling. Now we got to play the game.
I know that you're quite hands-on with entrepreneurs. What type of products and services are you seeing entrepreneurs looking to make their living from? Are you seeing trends?
Well, I mean, obviously software is like popular only because, if you create it once, you can make money forever, and it sounds good, but my brain doesn't get around that. So it's a moot point. You can make money. It's really simple. I mean, all you have to do is have something that somebody wants, needs, solves a problem, or entertains them. I mean, there's your four biggest areas. I mean, the business, if it's something somebody needs, toilet paper, paper towels, gasoline, okay, you're winning. That's a good thing. If it's something somebody wants, that's the next level. That's a Rolex watch. That's a Lexus. That's, I desire that. Sandals vacation, Walt Disney World, something like that. It's the next level. So then you have a want. Then you have it solves a problem. That can be pharmaceuticals. That could be, anything that just has helps you sleep better, back pain. You can go all the way down the line. Just solves a problem, allows you to do something that you struggle with or you haven't been able to do. And that could be service companies, from repairing your car to, cleaning the gutters. So you have that solves a problem. And then you have entertainment. I mean, we see that on, obviously with YouTube and social media and all that. If you can attract eyeballs, you have a mechanism to charge for marketing. Because if you can get eyeballs, then there's people that will pay for those eyeballs. So generally, they're the four areas, if in its most simplest form, that good ideas tend to stem from.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's that sort of education and an entertainment blend, isn't it, that helps propel.
Yeah, I mean, definitely from the social media standpoint of it. But I think, their basic businesses work in the most basic form. I mean, things break in people's houses every day. Things break on cars every day. Robots, AI, and software cannot fix any of those. Amazon cannot fix any of those things. So, I personally like businesses that doesn't compete with artificial intelligence, software, and/or Amazon, because to me, there's always the next best thing. There's always something where something was really good 5 years ago and it doesn't exist today because there's a better mousetrap. Because it's such a big market, there's so many people competing in that, that want to create that great mousetrap. It's all what you feel comfortable doing. But, it's like winning the lottery sometimes with those type of businesses. Like one person, did great, but where's all the other ones that, fizzled out or didn't quite make it and put a ton of money trying to do it?
There's also the amount of time that it takes for you to then measure and say, hey, this is a success. Because, we see on social all these overnight success stories, hey, I had this idea last weekend and now I'm a 6-figure business.
Yeah. And I think it's all bull, to be frank.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've worked with a lot of people online that have done well, and they may have made it in a weekend. They typically blow it in a month, and then they can't figure out what they did that worked just in the first place.
Yes. It's building that sustainability in business, isn't it? That's got longevity.
Absolutely. It's, what you're selling, is somebody going to want it 10 years from now?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to think. You can't guarantee that, but you have to think. And then if at any point you don't think somebody might be interested in either buying it the way you're currently selling it in America, that would be like retail stores like Sears and JCPenney that are no longer around. Okay. So people wanted to buy what you had, but your mechanism of selling it no longer became the most ideal. Online, et cetera, became better. So you always have to be looking into the future and saying, is what it is I'm selling going to still be wanted and needed? Number two, is the way that I'm selling it still going to be the most preferred method? And this would be like a Blockbuster Video as opposed to Netflix.
No, but things come in and out of fashion, don't they? Even stores are seeing a revival because people are missing the experience. We've gone, a period of 2 or 3 years of not really wanting to go into store and see people or try things on or see how it fits for size. And now there's this, we're seeing certainly in the UK, there's this footfall of people, wanting to go out and touch it and see what it's like in real life.
I think I agree with you. And it's funny because I went to a arts and crafts festival with my wife yesterday. Not my thing, but it was like, honey, if you want to do it, that's fine. So we go and you can see the energy in people just being outside and being able to touch products and all that. So I absolutely agree with you. And I think if shopping centers and stores create a great experience, that goes back to entertainment. Shopping can be entertainment. If you create a great experience, a great store, and people like that, you solved the want and you've tied it to entertainment. So yeah, I definitely think stores can work in the right location with the right products and the right experience.
In your own experience, Sean, with your own business, where you're helping your customers, where do you find that you need to be hanging out yourself? What has that journey been like?
Home services is where I've made the biggest chunk of my money. And now digital marketing, but in both of them, they're service companies. We physically get in front of people that buy from us. So that personal interaction, providing the hands-on buying experience. Customers like to ask questions and they don't like to do it in a chat window. Like we know that somebody's just feeding us answers that are already pre-recorded and we never quite get what they want. If you've ever called customer service and spoken with a human being that speaks like you do and it can answer the question, we know the value of that. That will supersede any level of technology. So that if you can provide that, that is still the preferred experience that I believe customers want. Can somebody help me make this process easier? Help me understand it, tell me how to use this better, tell me how to assemble it, whatever the case may be. There's always going to be a demand for that level of service.
I was having a conversation with quite a big company only last week, and we got into what your sales cycle looks like and feels like. How is it driven? And a lot of it was very digitally led with, inbound inquiries, which is great if you've got an absolute feast of those. But a lot of them were handled digitally once they'd been received. And my question to them really was, well, where's the human element
Absolutely.
that is going to take, 20% up to 40?
Yeah, I would be curious how many leads they lose as soon as people realize it's going to be a completely digital interaction.
Yeah.
I would love to know that number. I'd love to beta test that against a human being interacting and seeing the sale ratio, because the only problem with theirs is they've got to have 1 million interactions to sell a certain amount, where they may be able to only have to have 10,000 interactions to sell an equal amount if a human being is somewhere involved in that process.
The questioning sort of deepened in as much as the reason that they were going that route was to not want to scare off a prospect or a customer too soon, to feel too heavy-handed by giving them a call or, being able to offer a video chat. And I just sort of challenged them and said, well, I think that just kind of depends how you introduce yourself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You can bridge that gap, at this, I don't know necessarily their product line, how I do it, but human beings are happy. There's a difference between being sold and providing information. Yeah, if somebody jumps on and they're heavy-handed with the selling part of it, well, yeah, that might be a turnoff. But if somebody is involved in it and trying to provide help, that's dramatically different.
Absolutely.
Clarity.
As much as selling is a term, the further we get away from using that term in business, I think the better we do in delivering our business services to people.
I mean, selling is providing enough information to give somebody what they need to make a choice on whether to buy your services. I mean, that's all you're doing, is you're just constantly trying to clarify, communicate value, give them some certainty, confidence. I mean, that's all you're doing in the selling process. It's just kind of knocking down those walls that are preventing them from buying.
Do you see a single common mistake that entrepreneurs make when it comes to that part of their business cycle, Sean?
I mean, I think in selling, I think too many entrepreneurs are afraid to sell. Just I feel like they feel like once they start their business that they try to get themselves out of the selling part of it as fast as possible. Like that's the dirty part of the business. And I generally find that they pull themselves out way too early in the startup phase. And typically 1 million and under, whoever started the business generally is the best salesperson or should be. They know the product better than anybody or why they started the business. They have the best startup story. They have the best understanding of and or the product or the service. And they want to pull themselves from it and bring in a relative or a friend to take that over because that's an inexpensive hire. And that's a very costly mistake. So, selling as an entrepreneur, you're probably going to be heavily involved in it up to $10 million.
Yeah, there's got to be a rule book and a playbook, I think, that you need to formulate from the founder out into whoever it is that you become your trusted team members.
Yes. And you can train people to take your place in being in sales, but I see too many owners that kind of start hiding themselves in the back. They're on the computer, they're doing busy work and stuff like that, but they're not doing stuff that moves the needle anymore. And I think that selling is what moves the needle. That first 10 million, it's sell, 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 sell. You got to create that demand, fulfill the demand. And anything that doesn't sell and or fulfill is probably a waste of your time.
What would you say to anybody that's listening that's out the back, reliant on somebody else moving the needle, knowing that the needle isn't moving? What would you say to them if they were listening now?
Your company is going to be dictated by your energy, your involvement. If they feel like you've taken your eye off the ball or you've gotten lazy, you're never going to keep a high level employee. Like superstars aren't going to stick around to work for somebody like that. They're either going to duplicate what it is you have and start their own business, or they're going to go work for your competitor because, if they feel like they're doing everything and they're the brains behind the operation, the energy behind the operation, whatever that may be, that's not a position you want to be in as a business owner. So you always, they need to know that they're working for, somebody with, golly, at least equal ambition.
It's the
very
energy.
least.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
definitely that energy, isn't it? That once you see that sap, it saps from all areas of the business, doesn't it?
You need to have that energy, going forward. There may be a time where you pull out, you don't need as much. But when you look at Elon Musk and you look at Richard Branson and you look at, you can go all the way down the line, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and just go all the way. Every one of them were their best pitchmen.
They believed in the end in mind before it was even created, didn't they?
Yeah. But and even at their greatest level of wealth, they're still fanatics about what it is they were selling.
That's a really interesting point that you make there, really, Sean, as well, that a lot of entrepreneurs come in it for the money and they come in it for the lifestyle that they believe that it's going to lead them to. Yet the true entrepreneurs, the money, it's a byproduct, isn't it?
It is. We play to win the game. If you win the game, the celebration and the awards come. But it's liking the process of training for an athletic event and loving to compete. You like that more. It's like, okay, you win. That's great. That's only a short period of celebration. And then you rinse, repeat, and get back on the training. So yeah, you have to love the process of entrepreneurship. You got to love the process of finding an idea, being able to, turn it into an operating business, recruit the team, rinse, repeat, scale, find another one. Anybody who's watched Shark Tank understands the idea that why is it that people that are so, well off or, willing to buy a company and start the process over again? Because they're like addicts. Entrepreneurs are always looking for, another product or service that people need, want, entertains, or solves a problem. And when they find something that has a nice market demand for it and good margins, profit-wise, they're all in again.
It's a good addiction to have, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, to hold on to one, you start one business and you hold on to it like when you're holding a steering wheel on ice, when you're driving on ice, and it's the only thing you have going. That's not a great place to be. I think even if you have one business, which is fine, but every year you need to be looking for additional product, profit streams. You need to fortify that business. You need to build a moat around that business like a castle.
Yeah, it's been able to stay current and relevant, isn't it, to the marketplace? And
Yes,
it may
constantly see what
be,
your industry is going to do. What
yeah.
direction is your industry going? What are your customers demanding, wanting? Yeah, you have to try to be 5 years down the road.
And that doesn't necessarily mean that the product itself changes. It's just how you talk about it.
Amazon's basically doing exactly what they did 10 years ago. The only thing they've
Yeah.
done a little bit better is they get it out there faster. But that's the thing they speeded up the most is the ability to get you the product. But nothing has really that I'm aware of. You can pretty much, I could almost buy anything 10 years ago. I can pretty much buy anything now. The only difference now is making the buying experience, like on clothing now, you can try it for a week before
Yeah.
you necessarily get charged on it because people, that's smart. But that didn't alter their profit stream any. They were doing free returns anyway. So, they just kind of took the buying process and added a little
Bit of
something
shizzle.
to it. Yeah, but they own Zappos, and Zappos does a 365-day return policy. So they already had the process of returns built into the cake anyway.
Yeah.
So they just repackaged something they were already doing and delaying the money 7 days. Like they can't afford that. I mean, that's like a joke, but the business model is 99% the same.
Hmm. Yeah, I think if I look back, because I'm a long time Amazon customer, 10 years ago, you could pretty much buy anything. Now you just have more pages to scroll through. So there's just
Yeah.
way more choice. So it's perhaps brought the price point of what it is that you're looking for down. It's made it a little bit more competitive, but you want to pay the best price for the best product. That's what consumers are always looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, and they just make it as easy as possible. I mean, they've made the buying process. Nobody has made buying easier than Amazon, in my opinion. I literally can stand in line at a regular store, get frustrated for like 5 minutes because it's too long of a line, go on my phone, order it from Amazon, and know it'll be at my
Walk
house
out.
tomorrow. Yeah, and I've done
Yeah.
that more times than I care to admit.
Sadly, so have I. And I
Yeah,
really like to support local
yeah.
businesses. So yeah, if you've got a long queue in your store, you're gonna have to bring those queues down. That's
No,
the only way you're going to
absolutely.
compete with Amazon and not moan about it. Sean, so in terms of, making conversations count, clearly you do that with a lot of people and help them get clarity on where they should be making their conversations count in business. But I think it's time for me to be asking you about the one conversation that maybe changed everything for you personally.
Yeah, when I lost my dream job, I was in graduate school. I was recently married. My wife was pregnant, and you never want to hear these words unless you're driving a car. Sean, we're going in a different direction. And
Ah,
it was a complete leadership change. And so it ended up working out well. But that I'd never had like the idea to start a business before that. I had the idea of multiple incomes based on my skill set. So yeah, maybe do things on Saturdays and the evenings and make sure I'm getting paid well for those. But the idea of having a business never crossed my mind prior to that. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, I'm never gonna work for anybody again long term. I may do something in the interim as I get my feet on the ground, but I'm definitely going to own my own, I'm going to own my own vessel. I always say, like, if I see an iceberg like the Titanic, I want to at least know I can, try to turn the wheel a little bit. When I heard those words, we're going in a different direction, I had zero control over anything.
what you have learned from that now, Sean, does that necessarily mean that you control everything? Because it's a
You
loaded
can't control, yeah,
question.
you can't control everything, but as an entrepreneur, you at least can, in example, in 2008, when the economy took a turn, if you're the owner of the company, you at least can try to do some pivots. You're not completely
Yeah.
waiting to see if you're going to be laid off or not. You can see the level of demand for your product. You at least can make some degree of pivot.
It's less of a shock, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you feel like you have a touch of control. And that's either good or bad. Some people don't do really well with, having to make, big decisions fast. And so some people, that's overwhelming for them. Other entrepreneurs make decisions very fast and generally make, 80% of them are good enough to where they can adjust it on the fly, but they get out of the hot water quick.
Yes, I would agree that it's good to have an idea of where things are going and to have that ability to shift a gear up or down if you need to.
Exactly. I just don't want to be completely dependent on other people to put this to identify that there's a problem, because some people identify it way too late. Number two, create the strategy. I'd like to at least see the strategy and have an opinion on it. So, I think there's, I want to be somewhere involved in that process of identifying there's a problem, B, understanding we need a strategy, C, when are we going to start taking action, which should be immediately.
Yeah.
We tend to have a problem in any of those. A lot of entrepreneurs have a problem with that. They don't identify a problem. They're not good at putting together strategies, and then they delay on the implementation. Well, missing any of those three is going to be a major problem. It's going to cause some problems here.
And I think in part that's because we're looking for control, but then the way to get those things into place is about giving back control to somebody else, isn't it? So
one person can't do anything. Simply put, one person is not going to build anything of any greatness. So you're going to have a team. I mean, the great companies have thousands of employees, thousands and thousands of employees. So, you're never going to be able to do it by yourself.
No, that's true. And did you ever look back, Sean, at the company that said to you, we're going in a different direction, to see where they actually ended up?
Yeah, they never quite did as well as you would have thought. So, it never quite worked out for the leader who took over. That's fine. I wouldn't, I'm more than happy with the way my situation worked itself out. I like entrepreneurship and I'm fascinated by it. And
clearly it suits you well, Sean, because
I like to think so.
Their loss, your gain, I would say.
The old thing is if a door closes, a window opens. So there's always that level of, you got to take opportunities, good or bad, and you just got to make them work for you. Yeah.
And what's the other saying about failure? You need lots and lots of failures, but nobody ever fails.
Yeah, I mean, failure is just a speed bump, as we have in America. I don't know if they're over there, in Australia, whatever, but it just slows you down. But it's not, it doesn't bring you, it's not a stop sign. It's not, it just kind of makes you go, okay, wait, what I always say, failure just provides you enough information to tell you what doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. I mean, something fails. Okay. Something did not work. Why did it not work? And what do I have to do different going forward? That's all failure is.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives you the opportunity to choose a different direction.
Absolutely.
Boom, boom.
Yeah. I've had enough of it. I'm immune to it at this point.
Yeah. Well, Sean, it's been fascinating chatting with you about all things entrepreneurship. And I always encourage listeners to reach out if they've got any more questions with guests. So where's the best place for them to find you hanging out?
If you want to ask me a question, it would be on Instagram. That would be the best way. Sean.Castrina. I'm verified and I'm easy to find. If you like the free book, 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success, if you go to my website, SeanCastrina.com, you can download that for free. And we don't try to sell you anything. So it's a true gift. We encourage you to do that. And if, the 10-Minute Entrepreneur Podcast is a quick podcast if you want to learn things about entrepreneurship.
Fantastic, Sean. I'm pretty sure that there'll be quite a few scurrying over to have a listen.
Great. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
It's been great. Thank you. I can't remember a conversation where I've spoken so deeply around my own core values when it comes to helping customers make the right buying decision. Next time, we have a little Christmas gift that we want you to unwrap. We're going to be carrying on the conversation with a few guests that we've kept in close touch with. As their story has unfolded, we want to bring you the next episode. Make sure you follow and subscribe on your favourite platform of choice. And please, for Christmas, the only thing that I would really love is to shout out a review from a listener, like this one. Thank you to Beverly Densham, who lives in Paul in Dorset. And she said this, along with 5 stars. I've just listened to Have You Written the Perfect Book Yet? Really good, with your guest Mike Capuzzi. I have book 3 in my head, so I've just emailed my publisher to see if they'd like to publish it. Gave you lots of food for thought, so thank you. Well, Bev, I'm just going to quickly share with listeners that we then had a chat after that review because I was so curious to find out more, and I can't wait to have you on the show when book number 3 hits the shelves. Now that's making conversations count.